While Nigerians still earnestly await the manifestation of President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope, almost midway into his first term in office, how much longer would Nigerians have to wait for the promise of a better Nigeria? While the ruling All Progressives Congress APC seemed to be on a cruiser height, with no obvious formidable opposition giving it a run for its money. There seems to be a looming crack lurking in the walls of the APC, with a CPC bloc reported to be secretly interested in the merger talks if this pulls through. Where does this leave the APC in the build-up to the next election? Well, the current state of the nation, how has the nation's democracy fared under President Bola Tinubu's watch? I'm suitably delighted to have the APC National Secretary, Senator Bola join us on Arise Prime Time. Glad to have you join us.
Yeah, good evening.
The question on the lips of Nigerians today are, let me just reel them out. Where are we going? Where is the country headed? What is this administration's agenda? What will happen to us? And what next? How do you respond to it?
First and foremost, I think even your intro itself is biased and makes some fundamental wrong assumptions, which is, I would say, it's seemingly partisan, constructively concocted to paint the administration of Bola Tinubu in a very bad light, and you are not speaking entirely to facts. Yes, the administration of Bola Tinubu came on board, and it came on the Renew Hope mantra. And of course, in making analysis, you must be empirical. There's nothing wrong about making criticism. Criticism is part of what makes democracy to work, but your criticism must be based on fact. To say that there has not been development or improvement, or that the country is not, in the right direction, I beg to say, is not correct. First and foremost, for you to be able to put an economy in the right track, you must be able to solve certain fundamental dysfunctionality within that economy. And if statistics are to be looked at as to what has actually happened under Bola Tinubu administration, one, the intractable foreign debts, and of course, the intractable problem of having to run the country on a deficit basis has been addressed by Bola Tinubu administration. That is a landmark achievement. The backlog of dollar indebtedness had been cleared within 1 year of Bola Tinubu administration. At the same time, contrary to the situation whereby we were using close to 95-97% of our budget are being funded by deficit financing, that has been reduced to a level of between 60% and prices of commodities. I challenge you, go and do Fox Pop as to what has happened to price of commodity with the intervention that have been made in the agriculture sector. It's not static. Even you talk about flotation of naira. Yes, at the time when flotation of naira was done, which is a promise that all political parties agree should be done. If you look at today, in the past 1 or 2 months, you see there's already gradual strengthening of the naira against the United States dollar. So I expected, as patriots, as people who are also committed to development, to see not only the bad side of the administration, but also we are not expecting you to be sycophantic, but then you don't paint a situation of Armageddon. And aside this, massive investment is going into infrastructure. Infrastructure is the catalyst for any development that will bring prosperity to the country. Just today, you reel out the addition of FEC in terms of landmark infrastructural development that is coming into the country, because we have been able to free our country from a situation whereby we are just on the free rider, whereby you have a rentier economy and people just become billionaires because they know somebody in government. And this government is tackling the problem of insecurity, and then you don't just sit down and what we do is to say everything is negative. Yes, there are rooms for improvement. There are things that we know needs to be done to ensure that we address the problem, particularly in the area of expanding opportunity for our young people. And that was why Mr. President promised that there will be a youth conference, and there is a specific ministry targeted addressing the issue of the youth. And of course, the National Directorate of employment, the industrial training fund are being re-energized to ensure that we develop capacity in the area of addressing entrepreneurship skill and then being able to get teaming youth into the employment market so that they become self-employed and self-engaged. I would say yes. For every society, there must be challenges. In fact, if there are no challenges, there is no basis for you to say you are even striving. It's because we continue to strive that we have challenges. But you cannot lay the blame on the basis that nothing is being done to address the challenges. Yes, even after 8 years of administration, there will still be challenges. And that's why people will still continue to come with different perspective on how best they could be able to do. So Nigeria has not been static.
I'll give you an example. Just today, there was another grid collapse. Last year, we had about 13. Quite a number of...
About what?
13 grid collapses. Just today, there was a grid collapse. Last year, we had about 13. That is a fact. Now, quite a number of the SMEs we have, if not out of business, are struggling in this particular economy. His economic plans were never, that's the commentary, were never thought through. Subsidy removal, floating of the naira, leading to, like I painted there.
I don't know whether you're an economist. So for you to come with a very landmark conclusion.
Not me.
No. Then if you are making reference to another person in philosophy, they call this argumental adversary. You are just advancing to some other authority.
Even economists.
You cannot say that there are different brands with respect.
Yes.
There are different perspectives about economy.
Of course, there will be different perspectives.
I'm a political economist.
Good.
So to say and make a generalization that the economic policies of an administration is not well thought through, I think you are making partisan statements. And I've told you that there are already positive implications about those economic decisions. Now, more resources are available to pursue infrastructure development because of the removal of two subsidies, subsidy of the naira and subsidy of federal law. The subnationals now have resources to be able to tackle the problem of development in their own areas. Those are manifestations, positive one in the area of economic development. If the manifestation of economic development is about people who had been feeding fats on Nigerians, who ran trip with our dollars and who smuggle our petroleum to neighboring country is what our indices of saying an economy is growing, then we can say that.
No, we're talking here about, in quotes, what we even call talakawas, not about the elite. People who go to the market to buy their goods. And we're talking about SMEs that are finding it hard to conduct business. But even the big companies, because of the cost of the exchange rate of the naira, which you said, no. I wonder why you said at a 1,006
I don't know why
or 1,000.
I don't know why you
which
get your...
the government wants to bring it down to 1,005.
Naira, the government is not bringing down anything. Everything is left. Naira, please, is now left to market forces.
Of course.
So government is
proposing in its budget.
And of course, even when naira was being subsidized, there's always a benchmark price for the purpose of conversion. And that is not intended to say that the Bola Tinubu administration is intended to do away with flotation of the naira. And what I'm telling you is that because naira is now floated, naira will definitely get stronger and find his level as manufacturing, as investment in Nigeria gets developed. And we are telling you, unlike the picture of Armageddon that people painted when the policy started last year, yes, we had it terrible that naira was going for as much as $1,800. But I'm telling you that there's a gradual strengthening of the naira against the dollar. But nobody will see that. Of course, I don't expect you to see that being critics and for whatever but to say. And of course, you also need to go to the markets and see whether the price of commodities that was in existence last year is also the same. Then talking about national grid, please, is Bola Tinubu administration, was he the one that constructed national grid? What was successive administration been doing is only this administration that is taking the issue of decentralization of power very serious. Even when Bola Tinubu was a governor in Lagos, we could recollect, he wanted to get Enron to be able to come into play in the power sector market in Nigeria. Just assume from 1999-2000, assuming we are done all those we need to do in terms of decentralizing transmission, generation and distribution of power in a very honest and transparent manner.
No, fair enough. One is not saying that it's all his fault about the national grid. I was just pointing that out. One is not saying it, I mean, this over the years, but this is the government of APC. Now, let's leave that. The perception out there is that the ruling party, APC, is stifling the opposition and constricting, as it were, the democratic space.
I don't know which perception you are talking about. You see, I'm a doctor.
He's a Democrat.
I'm a doctor.
Tinubu is a Democrat.
Let me get to what I'm saying. I'm a doctor of philosophy. When you talk of perception, there in the public, whose perception are you talking about? Have you conducted an opinion poll to say that a majority of people agree with that perception? If it's about stifling opposition, Bola Tinubu has even done much to encourage opposition element. And some of our party people are not even happy with what President Bola Tinubu is doing. One, all the intervention that the presidency is doing, they are doing it through even opposition governors. In my state, for instance, in Osun, the palliatives were given to an opposition governor. It's not partisan about it. But if you are talking about people fighting themselves at Wadata house, or people removing the chairman of board of trustee, how is that the business of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the son of Abibat Magaji? In any event, I've said on this one, you see, our political party, I'm partisan. You see, the job of a political party, I'm the national secretary of the APC. I'm indeed happy that all opposition parties are in crisis. We don't have anything to do with so, but of course, I'm a Yoruba man. There is an adage that Ti Malu ba yoke idunu alakwata ni. If you have a cow that has hunchback, it will be the joy of the man that sells meat, because he will have more meat to do. If major opposition are in crisis, we should be happy. But to do it at our doorstep is not correct. But assuming it is correct, what crime have we committed? Politics is war by another means, by peaceful means, because you must develop your strategy. You must develop tactics. So if by way of strategy and tactics, I'm able to weaken my opposition, why should it concern me? But question of strengthening democratic institution may be the concern of Bola Tinubu as president of Nigeria, and not APC as a political party. May be the concern of civil society organization.
That's what I'm talking about.
Business of APC. Our party is not a civil society organization.
No, that's what I'm talking about. When I talk about opposition, I'm not just talking about the parties. I'm also talking about the papers, newspapers, protests, speaking up. The space is, we've had spate of journalists being arrested by the institutions of the government.
How many journalists have been arrested?
There are quite many.
Please let me give you the statistics. Why are they arrested? Were they arrested for what they published? Were journalists arrested for what they published? Because right to freedom.
There are cases like that.
Right to freedom of expression is guaranteed under the Nigerian Constitution. But Section 45 also allow certain derogation from even that rights. So if perchance people have gone beyond the exercise of their rights, there is this aphorism in human rights jurisprudence that the freedom of your feet, of your fist, stop at the tip of my nose. So if people had gone to commit act of criminality, that is not the problem. But I want to tell you, there are more radio stations in Nigeria than possibly any other places in Africa. There are more outlets, media outlets, both online, both conventional, that come up with criticism. Your organization, for instance, Arise TV, is reputed to be a bulwark of opposition to our administration. I don't think anybody has come here to come and lock up your shop, or has anybody come here
we present Arise presents.
I'm just telling you the perception. You have talked about perception. The perception of our own perception. Let me say,
that's APC.
And our supporters is that your organization is a bulwark of opposition, and that you only see more what is negative about administration. In fact, we are pleasantly surprised that you gave Ashwaji.
I was going to refer to that. So if you say
it was a pleasant surprise, because we knew on a day by day. In fact, we even have some of, with respect, not you, some presenters here to go out of their way to even attack individuals because they express different opinion. As Democrats, we believe in heterogeneity of ideas, and the only way any society will develop is for us to have opposing views being expressed. But to lay on the doorstep of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, Stephen of the opposition, is not true.
Okay, he just had the intro I did. Part of what I said was that the president has asked Nigerians, be patient, sacrifice. Of course, you know that. But this is the largest cabinet ever in the history of Nigeria, which increases the cost of governance at the same time that the president is asking Nigerians to sacrifice and be patient. And one, the question is, the government seems to be out of touch with reality. The president said he won't trim his cabinet, and it's getting bigger and larger.
Let us be very practical. I've been fortunate to be in government at the executive level. I was two-term commissioner in my state.
Okay.
Ministers, if they add anything to the cost of governance, I tell you it's very marginal. The bulwark of bureaucracy of government is in the public service. And I've not read it anywhere, and I've not seen anywhere that the size of the Nigerian public civil service at the federal level has been increased just because of the number of the ministers. At the best, you have ministers and then maybe one or two aides. Then take out all the emoluments of the ministers. Take out all the emoluments and running costs of all the ministers. They amount to a tiny fraction of the cost of governance. So when we want to talk about cost of governance in Nigeria, and we are serious about it, we should be looking at certain things that I will tell you, and which is not within the exclusive province of Mr. President. One, we need to look at the bicameral nature of our legislative arm. This is an issue which the president cannot do because it's not a military administration. And when you want to also take that decision, the question is that the same National Assembly that will pass the law, you're asking it to trim itself. How would that happen? Then when you're also talking about the cost of governance in Nigeria, as far as some of us are concerned, we need to look at our state structure. We have 36 states and the federal capital territory. That means that you have 36 parliament at the subnational level. You have 36 executives. So I'm for reduction of cost of governance, but we must look at where actually the cost of governance is about. The cost of governance is about the get-up and the structure of the 1999 Constitution. And to address 1999 Constitution, certain provisions, you will need 4/5 of the National Assembly and 2/3 of the state governor to be able to address it. It's not something that can be done by executive fiat. But I want to challenge people to even look at, take out the cost of running 40-something ministers, take out the aides, and then what savings are you going to make? And what the president has done about his cabinet is that he has been able to let ministers, including Minister of State, to focus specifically on areas so that there will be key performance index as to what they are going to be delivered, so that there will be a basis to judge them. And he openly challenged, a panel of journalists. Please tell me those that are not performing among my ministers. Of course, the answer remain a rhetorical question until now. For instance, in the Ministry of Industry and Investment, there has been a division between the main minister and Minister of State to specific assignment and responsibility. And that is also done with Ministry of Transportation and so on and so forth. So I expected critics to look at the functionality and the efficiency of that structure rather than look at what really does not incrementally add substantially to the cost of governance. The size of the Nigerian bureaucracy and the cost of itself is in the cost of the entire public service.
When I talked about stifling the opposition, you remember when the Labour president was about to travel for a meeting abroad, he was arrested at the airport. That was under his watch.
It's not a labor leader with respect. Just like myself, I'm not immune to arrest and detention if there are suspicions that I've committed an offense. So you don't have immunity. The fact that even members of our political party, leader of our political party, get arrested if there are suspicions of committing an offense. A governor, a former governor in our party, people were clapping that he was arrested and he was taken to court. Did the president interfere with it? So when law enforcement agents carried out their responsibility, I don't think they act on the script of Mr. President. Again, so if there are suspicions that I, Dr. Ajibola Bashiru, have committed offense, I don't have immunity. I can be arrested.
We will come to corruption, but appointments of NWC members, isn't it conflicting with your duties as, so to speak, overseers of your party? Because I know that quite recently, most of the NWC members,
all of us, not most, all.
Okay, have been appointed.
Yes.
How are you then going to be able to take your place, like I said, as the overseers of the party, when people are going wrong, even the president, be able to correct him? How are you going to?
The thing is that we are not supervisors of Mr. Governor as individuals. There are party structures and party organization. And let me also address the nature of our job as party officials. We are not employees of the party. We're elected officials of the party. It's just like saying that the president of NMA should not practice medicine just because he's president of NMA or president of Nigerian Union of Journalists. I still practice. I still go to court. I still teach. I'm a lecturer at National Institute of Legislative.
Is that what I'm talking about? Really?
So I'm just telling you that being a member of NWC does not make you to be engaged, employed by the party. It also does not preclude you from practicing your profession and acting in some other capacity. And I told you, I have a law firm. I'm also a law teacher. So being chairman of National Sugar Development Company does not make me to be working within the executive. I'm a chairman of a governing council. It's not a full-time employment. I'm not expected to be going to resume at the sugar house. Neither is our chairman, our national chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Umaru Ganduje, expected to going to be resuming at the farm. It is more of a supervisory of those agencies, and then to be able to put our wealth of experience for the development of those agencies. So it has nothing to do of an impediment on us performing our responsibility as members of the National Working Committee.
Okay, so it doesn't conflict. That's what you're saying.
Definitely.
Oh, all right. Before I ask you, there's a person. I don't know whether to call it a personal question, but I'll get to that. Now, commentators say Nigeria is not a true democracy due to the entrenched corruption from the political class, dwindling electoral participation, and weak democratic institutions. I mean, people say we're not looking for strong men. We're looking for democratic institutions that will hold leaders accountable when they go wrong.
Of course, the fact that you are here, even making your own perspective about performance or otherwise of our government shows that there's democracy. You have opportunity of making criticism. I was an activist during military era. When you are going to a station to go and criticize a government, you would have packed your load that you are going to end up under Decree 2 somewhere. So first and foremost, in terms of freedom of expression, we have democracy here. Then talking about corruption, whether military rule, democratic rule, corruption is a different ball game. Addressing it from is a different ball game from issue of the form of governance. Democracy as a form of governance in Nigeria, we have had uninterrupted democratic administration in the past 26 years, and I dare say that there have been developments. Our electoral systems are getting, developed. Our corporate, outlook in terms of governance is also getting developed. We may not yet, get there, but I believe that with time, we'll definitely be able to have a better democratic structure. But the building blocks of a strong democratic system are already in place in Nigeria.
What are 2 or 3 questions now? I have had to interview PDP stalwarts here, and the talk has always been about NEC meeting. Your party too has not held an NEC meeting, and that and the question of internal democracy. And then this question: are you running for Osun governorship election?
The notice of election is not out. And but the risk of sounding immodest, I will say that I'm eminently qualified to contest and run for governorship of my state. I've been a 2-term commissioner, a senator of Federal Government of Nigeria, and now a party administrator. And in my professional area, I'm a legal scholar, an academic, and of course a transaction. I'm a lawyer. So I believe that I have wealth of experience to be able, to run the state, particularly at this time when we have an administration that seems not to be getting it, and we don't even know who is governing our state, whether it is the governor or his sister or his brother. So we need a serious-minded people to take the mantle of leadership in the state, in Osun State.
Okay, we'll be leaving it. So it means you're running?
Possibly.
Possibly. That's a political answer. It's all right. Thank you so much, Senator Bashiru, Bola Bashiru, APC National Secretary, for being on Arise Prime Time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having stayed to the end of